Well, the mother of an Austin toddler who died of heat stroke last summer is now working with a federal agency to warn other parents about the dangers of hot cars. Last year, look at these numbers, 33 children in the United States lost their lives after being left unattended in vehicles, and an unknown number suffer moderate to severe permanent injuries due to heat stroke every year. Now, this time last year, recall this story, 1-year-old Sophie Cavallero was accidentally left in a hot pickup truck. Her father was supposed to take her to daycare that day, not his normal routine. He forgot, leaving her in the parking lot in his office in Northwest Austin. A grand jury ultimately decided not to indict him. Now, this week, the child's mom, Christy Reeves, has teamed up with the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration to give parents some prevention tools. They tell parents to make a habit of looking in the vehicle front to back before walking away, and they recommend putting personal items, things like your purse or your cell phone, in the back seat next to the child, so you will have to go grab that item. Now, it's unimaginable, but it happens often, and about half the time it's because a distracted or sleep-deprived parent deviates from their normal routine and simply forgets the child in the back seat. So we thought we would talk more about habits this morning. Art Markman is a psychology professor at UT. He's done a lot of research into the habits we form, both healthy and harmful. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Great to be here.
Let's talk a bit about that, how habits really put us on autopilot and we end up acting mindlessly.
That's right. I mean, if you think about it, your mind is a habit creation machine. Anytime that you do the same thing over and over in a similar situation, then your mind wants to create a habit to allow you to do this mindlessly. And that's a great thing most of the time. We don't want to think about where the toothpaste is in the morning. We don't want to think about where to throw things out in the kitchen. So most of the time it's great to have those kinds of routines.
Helps us get through the day. I mean, this morning, for example, I couldn't find the toothpaste. It's 2:33 in the morning before I come into work, and I'm fuzzy anyway. I think most of us are when we get up. But it threw me off suddenly, and I felt a little jarred because it was out of my habit.
That's right.
But on the negative side of things, you know, like we were talking about in this child being left in the back seat of a car, I mean, here's a habit that caused, you know, the death of a child, unfortunately. How can we bust ourselves out of these routines when it comes to something like that, remembering to take the kid out of the back seat?
That's right. So if you find yourself in a situation where you have to do something out of the ordinary, there's a few things you can do. The suggestion that you were mentioning of putting, you know, a purse or a personal item with the child is a great one, because you have the habit of carrying those things with you, and so what you do is by putting that object with the child, you're forcing yourself to go back to that. Another thing you can do is to change the goal that you have. So if you think about this situation, for example, the goal was get to work, and now if you get distracted, your habit kicks in and you go to work. Well, instead, make your first goal take the child to daycare. Right? Like, you know, to take a more mundane example, you know, if you have to pick up milk at the end of the day at work, rather than saying, look, I'm going to go home and then I'm going to remember on the way, let me pick up milk, start by bringing one of those little cold sacks in your car and go buy milk somewhere near the office, and say the first thing I'm going to do when I leave work is go buy milk, then I'm going to go home.
And then you'll hop in the car and say, hey, what's that cold sack doing there? Right. And it'll kick back in.
Exactly.
Is it about limiting distractions? Maybe often we get a cell phone call in the car, or something else will happen. You pointed out, you know, the radio's on, you know, you see a crash on the way home. These things distract us from what we're supposed to be doing.
Well, that's right. I mean, the beauty of habits is that they're really resistant to all these distractions, but when a distraction happens, that's when those habits are going to kick back in. You should do your best in general to try to minimize the distractions while you're driving, but some things can't be helped, and so that's why you need to have some other things to kick you back out of that and remind you that there's this other very important thing that you're supposed to be doing.
I've heard too, and we've got about 30 seconds left, about the 10% rule, slowing down 10%. Does that work, do you think?
Yeah, I think the slower you are, the more that you give these newer parts of your brain a chance to kick in and get involved in what you're thinking about. So definitely, the more that you're rushing, the more that you're going to fall back on your habits.
All right. Interesting insights. Dr. Art Markman from UT, psychology professor there. Thanks for coming in.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks.